Conversations for Peace. My name is Jewel Nyhuis. I pastor Hillwood Presbyterian Church USA that gathers on the west side of Nashville, Tennessee, and every Wednesday at 1 o'clock is gathering for yoga, brought to us by our Small World Yoga partners. Yep. The church has been partnering with Small World Yoga since 2018, having classes here every week. And at some point in this past year, Kaylee Wheeler came to be one of our instructors, and here she is.
Hi.
Today.
Hello. Yep.
Welcome.
And all are welcome to yoga. Come out Wednesdays, 1 to 2 o'clock. It's free.
It's free.
Open
it's
to
awesome.
the community. Yep, open to the community.
Right now we're on the lawn, in the front lawn.
Yes.
At least while it's still beautiful.
We're loving it.
We'll be doing our own hot yoga.
Yes, we will. Yeah.
In a couple of
come
months.
July, yes.
Or we will come inside.
Please join us.
Yeah. So I'd like to start with our guest, just with my first impression of meeting you. And honestly, it is a little hard to remember the first time I met you. Firstly, I was probably a little bit late to get to yoga class. You probably remember that.
Yeah. Who, Jewel? What?
That happens. And I remember, I love the way you approach teaching class. You are an athlete yourself, also a gymnast, and have trained others in gymnastics, and even to this day, and there's a way you weave like yoga and that background together that I really appreciate. And then you also bring in the mindfulness and the breathing, and you often have a little like prayer or mindful moment at the end. So I love the way you kind of like weave that all together. We've had several different yoga instructors over the years, and it's kind of cool to like get each person's personality. So
different perspective.
Love that. Kaylee definitely is an adventurer.
Yes.
So thanks to you, things like yoga balls, tennis balls, all those other apparatus you brought.
Our foam rollers,
And like just like incorporate all that into our time together. So.
Yeah, I like to think outside the box.
Definitely.
For sure.
And you like to try new things, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is a yoga pose, but it's something you're having us try.
And I think that's the good thing about my background in gymnastics is that the two do perfectly weave together. So it really is a nice kind of push and pull using the yoga and then the gymnastics background as well.
Yeah.
Just flows straight into it. Like it's meant to be. Yeah. In gymnastics, though, I always joked with Joel that we call them different names than the yoga poses. So that's been the biggest, I think, thing for me to learn is what the actual yoga poses are called, because in gymnastics, there's something totally different. So that's been something to get used to, but I love it. I just love to move my body. Movement is joy, and movement is medicine, and anyway, no matter what we call it, I think it's the best. So. Yeah.
So my other first impression when we met is we had our wonderful class, and then, I don't know, you followed me back to my office for something. Yeah. I know I was like, come to my office, I need to like give you something. Whatever it was, I don't remember. And then for like the next 2 hours, we sat connecting on everything.
I think we talked about dream boards and affirmations and meditation, and I think we discussed stones and chakras and everything else. Yeah, outside time.
Energy. Yeah. And even some of the things you're hoping to do in your own work, and you shared a little bit about your work with children. So you're going to hear all about that today as well. Not only Small World Yoga, but she is a little bit more than Small World Yoga as well. So
Thank you.
How would you like to introduce yourself? I mean, other thing I should say, she's a devoted mama.
Yes.
A volleyball mama. And we are recording this earlier in May on Mother's Day, and here she is with me on Mother's Day.
That's okay. My celebration's coming next weekend, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, my daughter's at a volleyball game, so I just skipped out a little early.
And you're on the road all the time with her.
Yeah.
So
competitive, traveling volleyball. Has taken over my life. Yeah, in a sport that I know nothing about. So
really?
I never played because I was always in a gymnastics gym. So
I
do not know, but I am picking it up, watching YouTube for dummies, you know? What's the volleyball one-on-one? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was a volleyball player, so we could talk.
Okay, good. Yeah, I need
That's
to
why I've had a shoulder repair.
ask a couple questions that I don't know the answer to, but it's been fun. Yeah, I really love supporting her, so it's been nice, you know, like being a parent and parenting different than your parent parented you when you did sports, you know. So I really just love to sit on the sidelines and support her no matter what she does, but it's definitely a foreign sport to me. So, but yeah, I would just say,
introduce yourself.
My name is Kaylee Wheeler, and I have a little side business called Yoga with Kaylee, and I just am trying to think outside the box than just normal studio yoga. Thinking of doing yoga by the lake, perhaps at the park, outside. I love to be outside. And hoping to broaden horizons out there, maybe to some kiddos while they're at daycare, maybe after school programs, things like that. I really enjoy working with kids, so that's something that I'm hoping to get really back into. But I teach gymnastics a few days a week and teach for a gym up here. It's called Nashville Gymnastics Training Center. And I also, what else do I do? Oh, and I teach for Small World. It's a nonprofit out of Nashville in the Edge Hill neighborhood. So they create community by offering yoga classes as an outreach program, which is what I do. So we go to, they send me to an after-school program at a school in Gallatin. And so I work with anywhere between like elementary and high school kids, which I really love all those ranges. So they keep me on my toes for sure, but they're a lot of fun. And then I get to come here and teach on Wednesdays to you lovely ladies, which have become my new family, and we've loved our girl time. And so I just, I'm doing gentle yoga on Wednesdays. And again, that's open to the community, so anybody can come. So we're hoping to get some newbies come in regularly to join us because we have a blast.
We do.
And I really enjoyed last week when we were under the tree, and I would look up when we were on our yoga mats and just see the branches of the tree go out on a nice sunny day. It was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So.
I do prefer yoga on the lawn, I will admit that. But when we are inside as well, it's awesome.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I do.
Because I enjoy teaching it for sure.
Yeah.
So bringing something new to the table. But yeah, the nonprofit, I guess I graduated a yoga school about a year ago. So maybe I've been teaching about a year and a half, I guess you could say. And a woman who came in to do our science portion of our class to teach us about the foam rolling and a little bit more about muscles and how the body kind of works, that kind of thing, more scientific level. She works for the nonprofit Small World, and so we kind of hit it off, and she said should come see us, and so I did, and that's when I decided instead of just a traditional studio teaching, I would do this outreach, and it really reminded me a lot of my background, which is gymnastics. So I started gymnastics when I was 5.
Oh my gosh.
And I went all the way till I was about 13, so 8 or 9 years. And then I switched into springboard diving as part of like a swimming and diving team at my high school. So instead of landing on my feet for gymnastics, I learned to land on my head in a swimming pool, doing the same things. But yeah, I was in the gym every day when I was little, doing that, and then competitions on the weekends. And I was actually the balance beam champion in the state of Oklahoma 3 years in a row. Yeah, I was going to bring you a picture, and I totally forgot to bring it, but of me balancing on a little 4-inch, balance beam. Yeah, back in my day.
We should have you do a few examples of like, what were your favorite,
Well, there's 4 apparatuses in gymnastics.
Tell me, I don't know anything about gymnastics.
Well, it's exciting because the gymnastics is going to be showcased this summer at the Summer Olympics in Paris 2024, which I love gymnastics on TV. It's the best to watch.
Cool.
But we've got the balance beam, we've got the uneven bars, the vault, and the floor exercise.
Okay.
And so my favorite and my best was balance beam.
Okay.
Which is that big beam, it's about, I think, 4 feet off the ground. It's 4 inches wide, and you do a routine on it, and then you're jumping and tumbling off, you know.
Stay on that
yeah,
little bitty.
It was challenging, but I really loved kind of just being in my own mind, because gymnastics was really great because it was an individual sport, which like yoga, you get in your own mind and you just do what you want to do with it. You take it where you want to take it. But I think just the movement of how to learn to not hurt myself but do these really cool things was just such a fun experience in my life. And so yoga has been a lot like that, connecting back onto my mat, my yoga poses in this flow, which we call vinyasa flow.
Yeah.
And it's like a gymnastics routine in a way. Yeah. And so it's just connecting those poses, moving your body, and I don't know, I get lost in it, and it just reminds me so much of gymnastics and just that love that I had for competing and learning these cool skills that, you know, not everybody can do. So it really, gymnastics, yeah. And then, you know, yoga now as an adult has really come kind of full circle, I guess you could say, in my life, of moving my body in different ways in different sports, and then finding yoga as a almost 40-year-old. My birthday's actually next week, so thank you. Birthday. Yeah, I'll be 39, but I'm on the downslope, you know, so yeah.
You're a child.
Yeah.
You have so much yet to learn.
But that's why I have gotten so deep into yoga. So in, I guess, about 2016, I started doing yoga in a studio, and I've done it off and on up until now, and just had decided last year, something I was thinking about was getting the certification to become an instructor. With my background being gymnastics coaching, that I've been in that world for like 30 years and coached for 15 of those years. And I owned a little gymnastics business in Dallas, Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex there.
You told me about that when we first met. Yeah.
So I owned a company there for 7 years. When my daughter was born, I don't know what I was thinking, but I started a year before she was born. And then I actually ended up selling it in 2014, and then my husband got his job offer to relocate, so sold it off and kind of was a stay-at-home mom at that point. But yeah, so I've done all different realms of gymnastics, but our expertise was, for our company, was little kids. Yeah. Teaching at the daycares, the Montessori schools, after-school programs, churches, Mother's Day out, things like that.
And you would go to them?
Yeah, we would bring all of our equipment, and we would bring it into the daycares during the day while the kids are at the school during the day while the parents are at work. And we would just run gymnastics obstacle courses with them, and they would have a little mini Olympics and get a little gold medal and a certificate and things like that.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so I had I think 6 employees, and I think we had about 300 students that we taught.
My gosh. Wow.
Yeah, for those 7 years. So I was pretty tired, so I was looking for something new. So now it's a little slower, but it's all about my daughter now, you know.
Then you were a little tired, so you decided to become a mom.
Yes, exactly.
That would give you a reprieve.
Yeah. Thought I'd get a little break, but no,
right.
Not so much, no. But yeah.
So, is yoga like how you like get yourself centered? Would you say how you like kind of create peace internally, or what are ways that you go about doing that?
I like to be outside. I really do. I connect with the outside, nature, gardening, walking. I love to just hear the birds. And right now I know we've got this beautiful serenade of the cicadas in the trees. And I just love to be outside. But that's why I think it was important for me to really do yoga in my own way and not kind of more traditionally in a studio. Being outside and having those opportunities to do it in places that you wouldn't necessarily think to do yoga, you know. Yeah. So that's been, and I think with Small World's help, it's really been eye-opening that you can do it anywhere. It can be done anywhere, even if it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. So it doesn't always have to be in that traditional sense of a studio for an hour, sweating your tush off, you know. It can be on a beach, you know, hearing the waves come in, and so it's really been nice to just kind of dive into that and see where it takes me.
Cool.
For sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, like I said, it's part of why it's so wonderful to be doing yoga outside on the front lawn. Because there's that way that we also get, like, in that rhythm of nature and see what's going on above us when we're on the mat. And inspired by the trees even, right? To hold the poses. We have an instructor who always says, look at a tree whenever we're doing tree pose. And then encourages us that, like, sometimes we move around when we're doing tree, you know, and it's like, well, so does the tree. The tree is not
swaying in the wind.
Yeah, so very cool. So with yoga and being outside and, like, getting yourself centered, how are you noticing that impacting beyond you? Like, what are ways that what you're doing to keep peace internally might be affecting around you?
I would say I think that connecting the nature with the yoga, I think for me being outside more, which is a place of peacefulness in my life, I think it really makes me a more peaceful person to be around. I think, you know, if I was maybe in a city or a different setting for it, I think it might not feel the same. And so I live by the lake over in Hendersonville, and so that in itself is a peaceful place to live, you know, less traffic, less road noise, less city noise, that kind of thing.
Less lights.
Yeah, so it's all just kind of, it all works hand in hand to just create, I think, a peaceful environment of the outside, the yoga time, the meditation, waking up, hearing the lake, seeing the birds and the sun setting, you know. But I think that for me, a slower pace of life and a place where you're in the nature and not necessarily the city, as I thought, I want to come and live in the big city of Nashville, and it's like, maybe that would not have been the best place, I think, for, so I'm happy that it all really worked out when we decided to come here. And it's just really, I think, staying positive and just staying on that mindset of being open to whatever comes my way, but being positive and not thinking about the negative and the I can't do something, you know, and staying on track of just saying yes and showing up and giving it 100% no matter what it is, because you don't know what exactly it's going to be, you know, and doing all these things you wouldn't necessarily think they would connect, but somehow it's working enough to, you know, get me out of the house and not just be a mom that I'm just staying at home and am bored because I'm not doing something for myself anymore. So I think doing a little of this, a little of that, and still being able to be there for my family and my daughter and be in their lives and, you know, do all that. So it really is a nice, what would you say? I guess like just
balance.
A nice, nice
like
balance.
Like your balance beam.
Yep. And it, you know, if something gets off and it's too much of one, not enough of the other, and it just gets all chaotic, you know, and you got to bring it back. So I think these weekends when we don't have volleyball and things, it's like I like to just be outside and have time to garden or perhaps just lay out there and meditate for a little bit in the sun, let that vitamin D, you know, get in there and do its job. It really helps kind of reset things, or just leave and go for a walk even, you know, in the neighborhood or down to the water.
It sounds like
camping.
You live in an idyllic place.
I have tried hard, to create that, but I mean, there's definitely been times I think in my life that it's been the ebbs and flows of moving a few times now, you know, with our little family of just the three of us. You just kind of say, you know what, I'm open to a change and let's see where it goes. And sometimes are better than other, and sometimes you find yourself in not such a situation that maybe you would have chosen, or that kind of thing. And you learn to deal with it. You learn a lot, but I think just trying to stay on that focus, that path of what does bring you joy, and not thinking, oh, I wish I was somewhere else, you know, that kind of thing. Because I think it's always going to just come, that change is going to it's a cycle, and this is a new cycle, a new phase of life, but I'm definitely enjoying it, and I'm happy to be sharing my knowledge and, giving other people tips and tricks and things that they can maybe try in their lives to bring them the happiness and joy and calm and peacefulness. Because it's such a chaotic, world out there right now.
Right.
And I think really looking within and really getting connected to whatever that might be, even if it's just 10 or 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be hours on the end,
Yeah.
But I just feel like that's needed now more than ever. It's just all so busy right now, I think,
Yeah.
and technology has really made that all, I think, more excessive.
Right.
So it's nice to, I think, reconnect to the simpler times, whatever that might be for you. Camping with the family, maybe going to the beach.
You guys enjoy doing that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love to camp.
You've gone not to the beach lately, but to the ocean. Right?
Yeah. We love to get away and camp if we have a free weekend. We're tent campers, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we like to do it, do it all natural. But it's fun.
Tell us more about camping weekends.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I love, the getting ready, the packing up the car, and checking off the checklist, making sure you've got all the things, because once you're out there usually, for the weekend. But just being, I think, in nature and hearing all the sounds and seeing all the sights and disconnecting from the technology and the hustle and bustle of just everyday life and getting back to that just simpler, slower pace of life. It recharges me, so I'm not sure about everyone else, but waking up.
So you usually do like a Friday to a Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Or?
Yeah,
and
usually.
You're in a tent, right?
Yeah, we have
All
2 tents.
Okay.
So
2 tents.
sometimes lately, my daughter's a teenager, so we bring the small tent. So maybe 2 of us are in there, and then we've got one that's like a 6-person tent. So it's a giant dome. But we've got a pop-up cot thing that blows up, and then we've got some cots on the ground that are like kind of like pool mattresses, I guess you could say.
So you're not totally on the ground. Little sleeping bags.
Yeah, little sleeping bags on top of that. Got our little lantern, play some games, and have some fire time. And I love waking up the next morning, kind of just you're groggy, your back is hurting, of course. You're like, but you know what? It's been a nice night, hearing all the crickets, seeing the stars, and staying up by a campfire with music, and just having time away, to recharge. That, again, it's just, that to me is peace.
Right. Wow. I was going to ask you, where's your favorite place for peace? But
I would say we did, my husband and I, a trip to Aspen, Colorado.
Oh.
And it was a September, so it was the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say we did like a week away. And we stayed in, I think it was Maroon Bells is what it's called. So you're setting up a base camp, and then you take a backpack with a smaller tent, and you hike into the mountains or whatever it might be. But yeah, we just set up wherever. We hiked as much as we wanted, took a little breaks, and then once we got out there, maybe we'd go a little further, or maybe we'd come back, But I think being out there and just seeing the aspen trees, which are beautiful, and I think we did a horseback riding on the mountainside, and we did a railroad barbecue beer ride, which was a blast through the mountains of Colorado. Then I think is it the Rocky National Park, something like that.
Cool.
So that was one of the highlight trips that we loved, but. Yeah, we're slowly trying to check off some of those national parks, but state parks for sure. Seen a lot of those.
State parks around here.
Yeah, because we're very lucky here in Middle Tennessee. Within an hour's drive, we've got Kentucky, we've got the Carolinas, we've got the Virginias. I mean, we've got everything. Mountains, we've got lakes, we've got wildlife, bears, and who knows what else. Oh my, So.
But you enjoy that, encountering the bears in the forest.
I really just like to adventure, I think, and just
not
really have too many expectations. I think just a general guideline of this is what we're doing, this is when we have to check in. But I like to just get in the car and just kind of get lost and just see what we come up to along the way. If it's a little Amish market or a outfitter's store of some kind, if you're floating the river or something, that's always fun to just come across who knows what, but and I like to always bring my yoga mat for sure. Got that in the car, that's always a must, and got a good book, and try to have some time away with that too, and hiking of course, but yeah.
You definitely stay active.
I do. I don't sit down much. So, but, I think growing older, I think it's definitely becoming more aware of how the body changes and the way we age and things like that. And that's why I think I try to always make a point to make time to stretch, to do yoga, to get some steps in, to meditate, mind, body, and soul, all the things,
Right.
But I think if you have a goal for your life at the end, especially, and I want to still be walking and active as I am now, and having a little hurts and pains and things, it's like I see the importance now more than ever that it's yoga, it's a lifestyle, and it's not maybe this lifestyle that has been portrayed on social media of these things. I think it's just a lifestyle of just waking up and just stretching, touching your toes, and just turning your mind off a little bit to just self-reflect and really look within. And that makes you more appreciative, I think, when you are in nature and your everyday life. You're more thankful for what you have, and then maybe you're not having to live up to these standards that maybe aren't what you should be doing, you know. Right. So it's been very enlightening.
Flow is more important than.
Yeah, to me, I like to live more of a simple life. I think I could probably do without technology. I don't. Sometimes I even think, I'd love to just get a flip phone or something, and just be able to call and text. Like, I don't need all of this, but I know we still have to be connected, and if you disconnect from social media and that kind of thing, you don't know what's going on, you know?
Right.
Especially with these having kids and events going on, things like that in your area, you gotta have some kind of connection, but it's not as important, I think, as it is maybe with some others, and so for me, I think just that slower pace is what brings me joy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's so amazing that you actually know that about yourself, and that you have a partner that is in sync with you, and obviously a child that is as well. Did she rebel at all against it?
Now that she's a teenager, I'll say she definitely is not loving camping as much as she maybe once did. But she's a pretty good sport, and if we allow her to bring a friend, she'll come. And we'll make her come. But but she used to really love to be out there riding her bike, her little scooter, collecting acorns and leaves, and doing all that kids do. But it's been a little harder as she's gotten older. But I'm hoping that she'll come back to us and still want to do those things when she leaves the nest one day.
Over like high school, right?
Yeah. Teenage times, it's just a different time.
It's rough.
And sometimes, it can be for sure. But my husband, he's a great sport. He loves to do all that too, because he's got a job where he's constantly at a desk, doing all this, and he's hunched over, and I feel so bad for him, and that's why I'm always trying to think of ways to get him up, moving, and out of his chair so that he's not having those new back pains and neck pains, and just go for a walk, and take a 10-minute break to just get out of the house, get away from the computer. But I see what it does to him, and I'm like, I can't do that. That's not the life that I could do every day. So I totally commend him for doing that for us and our family. And I know he loves to have these little getaways, these camping getaways, or even volleyball getaways, and stay at a nice hotel every now and then,
that's good.
Yeah, but he does. He's an adventurer too. He really does. He's maybe not as spontaneous as I am on the ride there and back. I think he's more like, let's get in the car. I want to just go home, at the end of it all. Because it's a lot of work sometimes having to load up, pack all those things, and unpack. But it's always worth it.
You food and like cook over the fire.
Yeah, you got to make sure you have enough propane and all the things. Yeah, cleaning water, just things you might not. But I don't think it would be the same if we stayed in like a cabin or like a camper.
Right.
It just, to me, it's like I'm there to be in nature, to be connected, to hear the sounds. And if I'm inside another house of some kind, I'm not hearing all that. So it's just not the same.
Yeah.
But I think that will be something I think we'll do for a long while. I think we enjoy it. Might have to get a little better sleeping situation. Yeah. But we both are like, our knee, our back, But I think just trying to stay active as much as you can in your daily life, and then when you go and have time for these things, you're in some decent shape, so you're not, you're still able to really function, and that's the goal for me. I want to be like 80 and still doing all that on my own. Yeah, there you go. I know. I would love that too.
Still have vibrancy.
Yeah, like backpacking through Europe, or I don't know.
That sounds
just
awesome.
Some really cool things. Yeah. Maybe living at the beach. I don't know, but
that sounds great too.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about. We didn't like, you didn't know I was going to ask you this question, but it's kind of coming up in what you're talking about, like the aches and pains and just like the aging, the way the body changes. What has been the impact of all those years of gymnastics on, what are you noticing now? Because I will tell you, as an athlete, I have noticed quite a bit, and I think it's has a cumulative impact. So I don't know what your experience is.
I'll say I was really good up until I was about 30. And then I will say, as I've gotten closer to 40, I have felt some aches and pains that I haven't felt before, honestly. And it was surprising. It was a little shocking. Because I thought, I'm invincible, right? I've taken care of myself. I've taken my vitamins, my supplements. I've done all the things. But I don't know if it's just been the pounding of the gymnastics, tumbling, or the running that we always used to have to do and all of that, or maybe the swinging on the bars, using your shoulders in ways that I don't really use now. And
did you do weight? Like, did y'all have to do weightlifting? Because that was a part of our routine too.
Yeah, we would always have about a 4, maybe 5 hour practice.
Oh, wow.
And it would be, when I was littler, it would maybe be just like 2 or 3 days a week. And then when I got to be maybe about 7 or 8, it was like every day up until I was like 13. So even on Saturdays, I went to gymnastics 5, maybe 6 days a week.
Wow.
And so we would always start off by running around the building for like an hour or 30 minutes or whatever. And then we would strength train for another 30 minutes to an hour. So it would be a good span, and then we would go and do all of our gymnastics apparatuses and our routines and learning new skills and have some trampoline fun time at the end, but.
Yeah, that's good.
But so it just was ingrained, I think, from early on when I was in elementary school, that I had to run, had to eat well, I had to drink lots of water, stay hydrated, and so I grew up knowing those things, and so I've just taken them with me, I guess, to everything that I've done ever since. But the body, it really just, I think no matter what, it has its own plan, and you just have to keep up, I think, with everything as a whole. To really work together to create a good working body. And again, it's just like yoga. I mean, it just goes back. It's the mind, the body, and the soul. They all have to work to, get to that next whatever phase that you're trying to get to. But I've had a little knee pain. I've had a weird toe that...
Is it more your knees and your ankles, or would you say...
They told me it was like an early onset arthritis in my knees. And so it's like that, I think they call it runner's knee, where it's like the crunching. It sounds like a Rice Krispies treat. Every time I walk up a step, it's like, like you're breaking a Rice Krispie treat. Yeah. So I have it in both, but this right one, definitely. So I actually am left-handed.
Oh, okay.
But I did gymnastics right on my right side. So I think maybe back in the 90s they didn't really teach lefties and righties. They just taught everybody this, we're going to do it right.
Okay.
And so I remember just being like, okay, I'm just learning. You know, our teacher's teaching us this routine and not even thinking anything of it. So my right side is probably the stronger side, so maybe that's why my right knee is hurting more, because that was always, that was like my lead leg. Or
what about how did you land?
Usually like 2 feet together, you know, in a kind of a bent knee, and then you would stand up and do your salute, is what they called it. But yeah. But that's from that. But I don't know. I've got this weird toe thing that just started, I would say, at the beginning of this year, and that's really thrown me for a loop. It's just like I think it's a tendon on top of my toe, my big toe. And this is, of course, my left foot. So it's like, you know, a little of all the things. So it's just like having to work through that continually to keep doing the things you're doing, but at the same time, struggle a little bit with the pain. And I think, again, that's why when we do our class, I try to think outside the box to incorporate the tennis balls and the foam rollers and bring the medicine balls and the yoga balls.
The big ball is called.
Yeah, the yoga ball. The yoga ball.
That's so fun.
I guess I didn't bring the smaller medicine balls.
I don't remember the medicine
Did I bring
ball.
bands? I forget.
We've had bands, but I mean, I've used bands before, but I
Yeah.
don't think you brought those in.
I just try to do a lot of
That's more we can do
things
this summer.
because I'm trying to really just stay mobile. You know, no matter what it is, if it's my knee, if it's my ankle, if it's my shoulder, and just do my own body weight. No, you know, but I do try to actually lift weights as well with dumbbells, but I try to just make sure that I'm always trying to strengthen the joint or the rotator cuff. You know, I'm not big on the science. I'm sure I probably need to cut some of that out, but
There's a rotator cuff.
and whatever, you know, where like the knee, you know, that's, I forget, do they call those hinge joints or
I don't know.
I forget, but
It's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
They're
It's
joints.
been a while since I've thought about some of them.
To the joints.
I think there's like a hinge one. There's like a ball and
like ball and socket.
Ball and socket. Yeah.
Like your hip. And your shoulder.
So I'm just trying to think.
Very educational. Well
there you go. But my mom. On my side of the family, my mom's mom, my grandmother, she actually owned a health food store.
Oh, wow.
And so we grew up with like more holistic self-remedies, I guess you could kind of say. And so she's always been in that realm of like vitamins and supplements and I don't know, just weird things that you wouldn't think to help with a knee issue or inflammation or turmeric for inflammation or different things, aloe vera, all sorts of things, you know, for all different issues.
Like to help the body with.
Sometimes, not always. I probably should more.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying I probably should,
but
but sometimes, And I would. I was just discussing. Someone had given me a juicer just recently, and I was like, I need to get that out of the closet and do that. And I used to have one of those little NutriBullet ones that just sit on the counter, and I used to do it all the time. And I would put in like flax seeds and chia seeds, and those all help with like inflammation and. Like lowering cholesterol and all sorts of different things. But we just, I don't know, when I was a little girl, those young days of gymnastics, we would go and visit my grandmother, and she would always have all these plants growing, like in her windowsill. She was an artist.
Okay.
So she would have watercolors and charcoals and all these things in her room, her art room, but we would always like put our hands out, and she'd give us our vitamin C and our, you know, whatever it is, vitamins that she had at her house. And I just remember always growing up that way. So that's just, I think, again, it's just been instilled that that's a healthy lifestyle, you know. And so I try to always think of her, and that always brings back really nice memories. And I think that's why too. It's just like kind of led me on this path because she used to do yoga, and I'm not sure if it was quite like it is today. I definitely don't think she was doing vinyasa. She must have been more gentle yoga, but she used to have a little trampoline, jumping and doing her stuff in front of the TV, and so it just was always a lifestyle with my family. And then my mom now, she's living the life on the beach in Florida, and she's doing yoga on the beach and Zumba and walking and all the things. But we still to this day discuss like our little recipes and things to try to keep ourselves in tip-top working shape, you know, and just
reduce
make sure, that
things.
maybe we will, you know, live to be 100. Who knows? But I know that whole Blue Zone. I don't know if you watched that Blue Zone show, but
somebody's told me about this though.
It was you need to watch
Tell
it
us
if you
more
haven't.
about it. Tell us about the Blue Zone.
It was really interesting. I'm obsessed with like the Japanese culture, and I want to say we might have to look this up, but one of them, I think it was somewhere in Japan, was a Blue Zone, but there were several, like maybe in Mexico or Greece. I think like Greece, maybe.
I could go live on the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
If you needed me to.
But they're all eating, you know, super healthy from their own gardens. They're walking to and from all the places that they're going. They're doing movements that are just their own body weight in their garden or at home, lifting things. So they're, you know, staying mobile, not kind of sitting on the couch watching TV like some of us might be doing, you know, us Americans. And they definitely don't have the toxins and chemicals and things that we have in our food, of course.
Right.
So, I mean, I think all of that combined, it's just they're living their lives. They've got excellent food sources because it's so, you know, close coming from the ocean and their gardens and all of that. But they're staying active. They're not just sitting around. And they're outside and they're in the elements and they're just doing just normal things, but it's like they're constantly do them throughout their whole day.
Right.
So their bodies are just in excellent shape. Yeah. And I'm sure they have aches and pains too, but they've got these probably more holistic remedies, I think, that they're probably doing, tinctures and who knows what. I've actually been trying this one. It sounds funny,
you told
but
us about something recently.
So I saw a video. Well, that too. But this one, because I was just like, I want to be feeling better. I was feeling so good with my yoga, and I was starting to do some arm balances and things that I hadn't really done before, and I was like, oh man, I'm really building up my strength. And then I had a couple little injuries happen, and it kind of takes you back a couple steps, and then you kind of find that frustration of like, I wasn't where I was, you know.
Right.
And of course, you know, ebbs and flows, just like life. So I'm like, I don't want to be negative. I'm going to look at this as a positive. So to me, I'm looking outward saying, what are some of these tinctures and things that I can incorporate? So I saw this one. You take the pits of avocados, leave them out on your counter, let it kind of dry out that outer shell, peel it off. Then you dice up the avocado pit, put it into a glass little jar, and put rubbing alcohol, like 70% or whatever. But you put it in there, let it do its thing for like 48 hours, and then you shake it up. And I don't know exactly if it's like the fats in the avocado. Again, this is a science thing, not my expertise, but it's supposed to be a natural pain remedy. Like you would put like a Bengay on, or, you know,
Do you ingest it, or you just put it on?
So I just unscrew the lid. I just do a little dip with my fingers, and then I just kind of massage it into wherever is hurting. But I was using like an arthritis gel that somebody recommended. And it was like a salon pause or something like that. I think they have patches and heated patches and different things. But I've been trying this and taking a more holistic approach because I don't know necessarily what all chemicals are in that salon pause and what's really getting deep in there, you know. So I'm kind of just playing with it, experimenting, which has been a fun little
Interesting.
but I'll report back. I'll let you know.
Yeah, so you just started.
Yeah, I just started. I've been putting
helping.
it on my toe. I've been putting it on my knee. I think that's all that hurts right now. So
That's good. That's not so
yeah,
bad.
yeah. But I have been
bad.
taking liquid collagen too. So
Yeah, tell us more about that.
yeah. Well, I was doing a powder. Yeah, this is a health and beauty segment, but I was doing. It was a powder form, and you just do a scoop of powder. You can put it into milk or water. So I always try to start my day off with. I think I had like bone marrow and some other things in it. But it was kind of chalky to me, and it was like powdery, so if you didn't really get it mixed up well, sometimes it would like clump and taste weird.
Oh.
Yeah, so I saw this one, and it's from a brand called Spoiled Child. And I thought, that's a fun name, but it's liquid, and it came with a little cute little shot glass, and you fill just a teaspoon, maybe 2, depending on how much you want. But I've been doing that. It's like pineapple flavored, so it's a liquid, so you don't have to mix the powder. Yeah. But again, just another thing that I'm trying to implement in my regimen, daily. Just
and what
to
is
try.
That good for?
So it's good for skin elasticity, stretch marks, cellulite, wrinkles. All the things that us women, maybe past 30 might want to incorporate for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's something new. Like I did it in my 20s. I never thought about using like really good skin product, like moisturizers or taking collagen. I just didn't really think about it because I was like, oh, I'm feeling great, right? Yeah. And then here in the last maybe 5-8 years, I've been slowly trying to like get into more of those types of things. And everyone's doing, of course, the easy fixes these days with surgery and whatnot. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want any foreign things in my my body. No, thank you. But at the same time, I want to still look and feel good, because if you look good, you feel good, right? Mm-hmm. And you feel like, oh, I have energy, and it does do some things, I believe, for your gut health as well, the liquid collagen. So that's really good, like a probiotic, which I also take that. But yeah, I think you just do what you can. Yeah. And of course, not anyone can do all the things, but I think you just have to pick a few things that you can stay and stick to. And you just have to, and some days I incorporate more than others. But I try not to let it get me down if, I didn't take everything, yesterday. It's like, I'll do it today. Or maybe I'll do it tomorrow, Yeah. But it's all, I think, my motto, I think, would be in moderation. Everything in moderation, no matter what it is. Right, yeah. Yoga, stretching, meditation, eating healthy. We all try. But, of course, life, you only live one life, so you have to have a little fun every now and then. Yeah, so if it's a special occasion, or heck, it's summer, I'm going to go out on the boat, I'm going to go have a burger, so I'm not trying to sit here and say, like, I'm the guru that only eats salads, or something like that, but I think it's just all in moderation. Yeah. But my main goal is just to be mobile and try to live a long, healthy life. I believe that I'm still able to get around without like a walker or some assistance, and see the world and do things adventure and keep adventuring, because there's so much out there to see. And so it's like going back to the same places. It's like I want to really start branching out and see other things, not just this little bubble that's around me. Yeah. So whatever.
So what's your this is one place in the world I really want to go experience? What's your
Oh, I have a couple, but
okay, well, what's a couple of them?
I definitely want to go to Greece. I would love to see Greece, just all the white buildings and the beautiful ocean. I think that would be really awesome, but I am such a beach lover. I would love to go to Fiji or Thailand. Oh, cool. And really dive in deep to the culture and eat the food. I try not to say no to anything. I try.
You have your passport, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've got my TSA pre-check, and that really is helpful too. Yes,
that's good.
It's so nice. It's such a lifesaver. But so we got those. I guess it was end of last year, so we're like, we really got to use them this time, you know, not just say we're going to use them, but.
When was your last overseas trip?
Well, where did I go? I went on a cruise, and we went to Bahamas, and we went to Jamaica. But before that, I think I went to Cabo, so Mexico, I guess, and then never been to Europe. I would love to. Not yet. I would love to. I would love to go to like Italy and do a wine tour and like, you know, pick the grapes and do all the things.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's why I'm like, I want to be able to walk. I don't want to go when I'm retired or older and then not be able to really
you want to be able to
do it.
Move.
Yeah. So that's important to me. But yeah, beach life. That's something for sure. Yeah, that's important to me. But if I can't be near the beach, I'll be here near the lake, and that's my own little sanctuary for sure.
Yeah,
so
your own little paradise in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm wondering about competition or competitiveness and the really keyed into what's going on in your body. Like, as an athlete growing up, I'm making a big assumption here, that as a gymnast you were sort of taught to just go, make it happen, right? And I don't know where you are in your competitive level in terms of how much of a competitive person you might be naturally. How has that had to transition, and how maybe has yoga assisted with that?
Yoga has assisted a lot.
Okay.
I actually had a dad that was very much, I would say, was it like a cheer mom, if you know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever watched.
Say I
don't know if you've watched. There's like reality television, like Dance Moms is a show. So there's like super uber competitive dance families out there.
And each other's faces.
Yes,
And, like that dance I'm aware.
That's my dad.
Oh my gosh.
So when I was little, I think we were at a basketball game, and it was a halftime show, and the gymnastics place was doing a halftime performance. They rolled out the mats. They did the gymnastics performance at the halftime of this, I think it was a basketball game, is that what I said? I don't know. But anyway, and I leaned over, I told my dad, I want to do that. I want to learn to do that, because they were flipping and doing all this stuff. And I had already been climbing the counters at home and, you know, swinging off the trees and things like that. But I told my dad, I said, I really want to do that. And so he got me into gymnastics, and I loved it. I loved it so much, just because, like I said, I was doing all these crazy things with my body, contorting it, and just flexible beyond belief. And his competitiveness made me competitive on myself, for sure. But I think in the beginning it was more my own doing, trying to be the best. And be the best, I think, to please coaches, to please your parents. And then I think something switches where it's like you're doing it for yourself in there. But I just always remember in the back of my mind, his words were always like, you could do better, you know, or you could do more, or you could have done this different or that different. And so I was always very hard on myself. And I would say I was always pretty competitive. And then when I grew up and I started coaching gymnastics, I would always try to be the best I could. And I was working under a husband and wife that owned a gym where I lived in Texas. And she taught me a lot, so much. How to work with these kids, how to do a compliment sandwich, she would say. You know, you did something great, you could have done this better. And then you follow it up with, you know, you did this, keep working. You know, so you kind of called it a compliment sandwich or an Oreo, if you would. But that really stuck with me. But I think getting older, I could see the way that my dad was hard on me, and kind of the way it made me feel at that time, but maybe not knowing how to voice that opinion when you're a little kid under your parents' home. And not being able to really stick up for yourself. And then later on, now you're the coach, your parent is not there, and how am I going to teach these kids and relay that information in a way that they're not feeling stressed out or anxious because they're not able to please these people and doing it for themselves. So that, I think, was my first kind of taste in that. But as I've gotten older now, even older, I'll say my kind of competitiveness, I think, has really chilled out a lot. And with myself and my daughter's sports, I try not to be that person at all. I really try to just show up and be supportive and give my compliment sandwiches out, and give my 2 cents and give my pep talk, and then I try to just leave it because it doesn't make them happy, I think, if you're on them too much, and then they'll burn out. And that's what happened to me ultimately, is that I got burnt out from gymnastics, and my dad constantly kind of being on me. And I see he was doing it in a way because I had all these skills and I could have really made something of it. But at the same time, I think he didn't have the reins to kind of hold it back at times. And it burnt me out. And that's why I switched into diving and joined the swimming team in high school, and kind of had that more sense of an independence and more calling the shots in my own sport instead of my dad saying, you got to go to gymnastics today, but yeah, I always remember him just being really hard, saying, I'm paying for this, you've got to go. And I'd say, oh, okay, I love it. Of course I'll go. But then as you get a little older, you want to go to a school dance or this or that, and you might not get to. And so you have to really miss out on some things that others get to do that you don't necessarily get to do because you're thinking, I'm going to go to the Olympics, or I'm going to go on a college team and get a scholarship, or who knows what, yoga, to me, though, I think it really slowed things down and really just enlightened me in a way to see the bigger picture of all of these workings and how they intertwined. And it has helped as well, I think, rekindle my dad and myself's relationship.
Well, that's good,
and it's helped me be able to be a better parent, I think, for my daughter as well. So it's really, but I definitely am not as competitive, but I do always try to be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing, and I try to always give it 110%. And I can't help sometimes that it is maybe the hurts and the pains that now is that kind of hindrance. So that's something I think that mentally I'm trying to work through, but you can't be too hard on yourself, and especially at this stage in life, it's like I just want to have fun with it, and but yeah, I do. I try to be a little competitive. Of course, if you have a business, that just comes with the territory for sure. But I think there's enough for everyone out there, so it's like it's not a cutthroat as maybe some make it out to be. And I'm fine with that. Just letting it be what it is and transpire into whatever it might become, but always giving it my best foot forward for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm thinking about too, so many women that I know. I work with women and men, but with Healing Touch. I'm certified as a Healing Touch practitioner, which is an energy therapy and dream work and spiritual direction. And so I'm always asking, where are you feeling that in your body, or what's going on in your body? And in part it is because of my own experience as an athlete. I had one of those horrible sweatshirts that now I don't even want to hear that quote, no pain, no gain. Because it was you just played through the pain. You got pushed beyond, right? The coach was always there telling you, give more, do more, do it faster, whatever. And I feel like that impact for myself, and I think for others, and there's other reasons people are not necessarily tuned in to their body, but that's one of the things I wonder about is how yoga, because I know you and other instructors will tell us, back off if it hurts. Don't push through the pain. Yoga is not about pain is gain at all. Pain is actually a signal from your body, stop.
Hey,
right?
You need to back off.
Modify.
Yes.
Are there ways that you help people with modifying certain poses in yoga, or?
Yeah, and our blocks help a lot. I mean, our blocks act as a coach in a way, you know, to support you when you're in a certain position that maybe yourself can't be supported on its own. So tools and things definitely help in yoga, but yeah, the competitive sports, they push that, and I think that's why there are so many sports injuries, and then people, as they age, it definitely does catch up to you, you know. But yoga, again, it's that self-reflection. It's that you're doing the self-check up and down your body to see the energy. Is it clogging somewhere? Am I feeling it somewhere that's going to impact me? Because if it is, it's like, oh, you know, don't play into it, because we definitely don't want to injure ourselves more for something that is supposed to bring us joy and ease and trying to release some of this tension in our life. So if it's really bringing that tension, back off, because that's not the goal of yoga for sure. Yeah.
What are you noticing? You do work with kids still. It's like, what are you noticing in them in terms of how they're doing and connecting internally?
Kids.
Is it hard for them, or?
Some days are easier than others. They definitely have a short attention span, so you have to play with that. Instead of daily, I believe it's good for you to do 10 to 20 minutes of meditation or mindfulness. For kids, though, I think realistically, it's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, maybe 10 minutes, you know, but you really have to know how they work, because if you are trying to push something onto them, you have to read the room and know, okay, that's enough, even if it was just 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and back off and move on. They cannot do something for too terribly long like us adults can, you know, they just can't. So to me, it's been, I think, just being able to read them, which I've done since I was 15. So it's been 15 plus years of coaching different ages and boys and girls and special needs. You just learn to read their faces, read their body language, read their energy, because if they're bouncing off the walls, you're not going to get much of that ease, that meditation, that mindfulness done. It's going to be more, you know, flipping and doing things where they're not going to be able to sit still. So it's finding that balance. But I do always try to incorporate at least an affirmation or some kind of something, a little guided meditation, something short and sweet, making them aware of their breathing, their breath, and connecting to their self. Because sometimes they just are acting without thinking, and they get caught up in that for sure. And they just don't realize. Yeah, there is a lot of it. And, you know, again, the technology I don't think helps, because it just makes them more in that pace of just go, 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 go. There's no release of finding the stillness. So it's reconnecting for sure. But you have to do a little bit of what they want to do, which is the fun things. And then you have to do a little bit of this is what our lesson is today, which is connecting to this, or, you know, a certain pose that you're trying to highlight for that day, and making it in a fun way where they don't even realize that they're doing yoga. You know, we call it something else. So it's kind of tricky, you know, but it keeps me on my toes, which is, I think, why I try to always incorporate this in our adult class. Because, you know, adults are just big children, so why stop the play, you know, just with the kids. But again, the adults, I think sometimes you get just so set in a way where it's like, this is how we do class. Yeah,
you do the same thing each time.
Yeah, and it becomes just kind of monotonous, you know, and I get bored, so I know that gets boring just in my own self. So it's like, I like to just try a bunch of different things, trial and error, and a lot of different sports and outlets that can connect, you know, to find that bigger whole and find that bigger picture of what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, cool. Well, I want to ask you about this quote. Okay. I asked my guests about a quote. I'm going to read it from a Zen priest who is the founder of the School of Broken Hearts in Seoul, Korea. His name is Haemin Sanum, and in his book, the things you can see only when you slow down, which sounds like right up your alley. He writes this: the air I inhale enters my body and becomes a part of me. The air that I exhale moves into someone else and becomes a part of her. Just by looking at how the air moves, we realize we're all connected to one another, not just figuratively, but also literally. I was wondering if you could just speak about what those words mean to you, or what you've seen them, because breath is so much a part of yoga, how you've seen that taking place. What do those
To me, I think just a good example is, say, sitting in traffic. We're all hunched over, we're getting irate because we just want to be where we're going. And sitting back, connecting back to breath, taking a deep breath in, deep breath out, really feeling that breath in and out of the body and releasing it, because there's nothing that you can do about the situation, I mean, as in the world sometimes we feel that, it's out of our control. Mm-hmm. And so you can only concentrate on yourself and do the things that only you have control of. Mm-hmm. So it's out of your control for sure, but the breathing definitely helps release that tension, and align the energy back to a positive point where it's like, I just gotta sit here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna push through it. I think that's a good example.
So tell me about, in yoga, because you were talking about this the other day and I kind of missed it, but there's a way that you breathe, right, to move the energy.
Ujjayi breath.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, can you demonstrate how to do that?
Ujjayi breath is a loud, boisterous breath that connects your body to the breath. So it's it sounds like an ocean wave hitting the shoreline, or it sounds like Darth Vader in his mask, But it's the louder the better. And then you start to even notice, if you are in a yoga class, that you are connecting with one another. When you're in your flow, you're doing your class, you all start to sync together. And you can, if you're in a class and you have an instructor, you will be able to hear the breath over the instructor as a synchronized organism.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes back to show that we are all connected. We are all on this planet trying to figure out, what is our goal here? What are we doing here? But at the end of the day, we're connected no matter what, because we're having this shared experience, So no matter what walk of life, where you've come from, what color you are, what age, what diversity, whatever it might be, we're all the same underneath, our souls. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, this, it's another documentary. You have to watch it. Okay. I think it's called Fantastic Fungi. And it's all about fungus, mushrooms, spores, things like that. But it's a really good way to look at it because they are connected under the ground, like trees. Mm-hmm. The roots under the ground, we're all connected. So just like us here on top of the earth, we're all connected. We think that we're creating these things to separate us, but really at the end of the day, we're the same. Right. We might be a different color, we might be a different religion, I might have
more eggs and veins.
Exactly. But we're all the same. And the Fantastic Fungi, I actually cried in this film. I cried because I could not stop watching it. It was just such a nice portrayal of the connection that we really do have. Mm-hmm. And seeing the way that they're all connected, under the ground like that, it's just such a nice way to put it in just a simple form of connection, mm-hmm. And with Small World, we are creating that connection, that community outreach of a safe place to go, mm-hmm. a safe place no matter what body you have. Everybody can do yoga, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There are no boundaries, there are no limits. It's just doing it in a place that you feel safe and loved and honored for just showing up and just putting in the work and effort that you wanted to put in, mm-hmm. and that's enough. at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, you must watch that movie.
Watch
It is a must watch.
Do you want to show us how to do the breath?
Yeah,
Okay,
we could sit.
go ahead.
So we'll just
Or
sit.
make me do it with you.
I think we could let's just close our eyes for a minute.
Yeah.
So even if you're
just,
I tell my husband this because, like I said, he has a really busy computer job that he does, and I always just tell him just to sit quietly for just a moment. Let's just kind of settle in. Let's all take a big inhale and fill up our lungs through our nose. And hold it at the top, expanding the lungs. And then a big open mouth, let it all out. And we're just getting warmed up for a sec. So we're going to inhale again through our nose. Really expand the rib cage. And then a big open mouth exhale, let it all out. Now this time we're going to do our Ujjayi breath. So we're going to seal our lips. We're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our nose. And then we're going to feel that pressure in the back of our throat, making that loud, boisterous Ujjayi breath sound, like Darth Vader or like the ocean wave kind of going in and coming out. But that's creating heat in our body. It's connecting our body to the movement, to the breath, the pose, the postures.
The chi, the energy, whichever.
It's moving the flow. But if we're holding our breath, we're stopping the flow of energy flowing throughout our body, wherever it might be that it needs it. I don't know if you're into Reiki at all, you know, which is like feeling and then moving the energy, getting it flowing again if you feel blocked. So Reiki is similar to healing touch. It just kind of comes from different traditions. Yeah. It's energy therapy. And I think it's a great therapy to do. I've done it several times, and this I think the first time when we moved, because we're Texans, we grew up in Texas.
Maybe you were from Oklahoma there for a second.
Well, I grew up in Oklahoma. I was born in Texas, grew up in Oklahoma. Moved back to Texas. That's where my parents' families are from. I went to high school there and then met my husband. We started our family in Texas. But I'll say we were Texans through and through. Yay, Texas. I love Texas. I'm a Southerner for sure. But now we've moved so many times. And that first time when we were moving, I wasn't as accepting, even though I was saying, oh, I'm fine with this. You know, this is for your career. This is for the good of our family. I'm going to sell my business, my gymnastics business at the time, and just saying, I'm ready for a change. You know, sometimes our mind is saying something, but our heart or our body is saying something different, you know, and they're not connected. And so I went to a Reiki healer when we had first moved because I just felt off, you know, and I felt tired and I felt sluggish and I just didn't feel my normal self. But I was also in a new place, you know, in a new setting that wasn't Texas and away from our families really for the first time. And just our own little unit and trying to make it work. And my husband is traveling and I'm a mom, you know, my daughter's starting school at that time. And she said that I had a throat chakra that was blocked. And you know, I'm a pretty loud, boisterous, outgoing person, and so for me to hear that, I'm thinking, that's not me, you know, that's not who I am. And she said, you know, here's some oils that you can put on it. So I have a little roller, even to this day I use it still, but just on the pressure points, you know, some essential oils and things. But it just helped me that with the yoga. That was around the time that I started doing yoga and connecting to my breath and figuring out that I was not voicing my opinion or letting my truth out. I was not speaking my truth, whether it be to myself or to my husband or to my family or whoever. I had just sold my business, so I wasn't sure what my next step was going to be. And so I was feeling just in this like uneasy space of time and not sure how to deal with life at that point. So for her to kind of say, hey, this is what's going on, but having that experience, I'm like, it is a true thing. Like the energy can get locked. And you start to just feel like you can't say anything. You have these thoughts, and then you get upset because things aren't happening the way that you want them to happen, but you have to speak your truth. And so that was just a really, I think, eye-opening experience on how to reset, how to get the flow going again, and reconnect. And I haven't had trouble since. So it's been really great.
Well,
but
and you know that, just like, here's a teaching moment too. Like, just as you were doing it, like, you know, just doing this, what in the Healing Touch community, what we talk about is, you know, something that's impacting you energetically will eventually have a physical symptom.
yes.
And so just the way you're even doing this, like, okay, yeah, something's stuck energetically.
Yeah.
You're probably going to end up with shoulder bumps because you're all hunched in or whatever, right?
Well,
because the energy is blocked.
They
like
always
free
say,
and
you know,
flowing.
stress right now is a big epidemic. I don't know if you would call it that, but it's a big factor in everyone's lives right now. And depression and anxiety. And it's creating, I believe, those blocked chakras and the energy not flowing. And then it hurts the body in forms of maybe cancer or other things. That's just my
disease.
Exactly, dis-ease
Right.
of the body is what it's creating, whatever form or fashion that might take on. And again, it's just like, I didn't want to end up in a place like that was worse than the place that I already, you know. I didn't want that. So I felt this urge of like, I need to look elsewhere for help, whether it be therapy, Reiki, yoga, you know, going to sit in the sauna. I've also been doing this hot, what is it? It's Himalayan salt caves, like a salt room that you just sit. The lights, it's dark, there's little twinkly lights on the ceiling. You go in there, you just breathe in the salt fumes from the vents. It's just, and the walls all have salt, the floor has Himalayan rock salt, but it helps with like asthma and again, clearing the energies, allergy issues, all sorts of different things. But you're breathing all that in, and that all goes back to, I think, to the times of finding these blue zone areas. They're all doing those kinds of things. And, you know, I don't know if it works for them or works for me. But I think just finding these other realms. I've done float spas, too. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
I haven't done a float
It's
spa.
really cool. So you're in a capsule, like a giant capsule. And I think there's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in this capsule. And you have to shower off before you get in. You get in and you just float there. You can leave the capsule door closed or you can leave it open. But you are ultimately in this room for an hour by yourself, floating on the water, and you have no choice but to like look within and really just think to yourself, meditate, have some mindfulness time. And it just takes you all different places. You know, you can have really crazy dreams. I did have this weird experience once. I don't know if so my husband, I think it was when we first moved here, so it was like 5 years ago. My husband got me a Mother's Day gift card to a float spa here in Nashville. And it was like a 4-pack, so I was like, okay, I'm going to get my money's worth. I'm going to go, you know. And so I started going those first few times. It was just really relaxing. It was nice. I love the Epsom salt. My body felt great because you know it's good for muscles and joints and that kind of thing. So I felt really good. It was it was like going to the spa. But then towards the end, I started having these more kind of lucid dreams where I wasn't sure if I was awake or asleep or what, because I was just in this enclosed capsule and it was all dark, but I had these colors, these vivid colors kind of coming about, but I don't know if it was like a flashback to my being born or what, or if it was just a dream, but it was like I could see the umbilical cord connection and like the baby, and I didn't know if it was me or if it was like maybe my birth with my mother or I don't know. You know, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but it was clearly a baby in the fetal position. and the cord, and then just these kind of vivid colors. And I just thought to myself, this is a rebirth for myself. This had been the second or third time that we had moved. Now we're in Nashville. And again, I had found myself finding a new chapter in my life with work and my goals and parenting. My husband's still doing his travels and working from home, and just finding that balance, for everyone. And to me, it represented in the end, what I took from it was the rebirth of, this is the new path, and feeling release that, and okay to let go of everything that had taken place in the past. Letting go of Texas, I'll always love it, but I'm going to move on. I'm going to keep moving on, and that's okay, because I'm seeing new things. I'm having new experiences. I'm making new friendships, And now I find myself teaching yoga to people that I never would have thought that I would be teaching, or places that I would be teaching, and meeting people, making connections. And so it really has been just
very cool,
very enlightening. But that was a tool that helped me kind of release some of that, just like the Reiki had done the time before. And just made me try new things, I think, and just kind of dive in. And so I don't know, it's just like that. I think we've made this joke before, that movie Yes Man with
is that Jim Carrey?
I think Jim Carrey. And he can only say yes to everything. Like, he came to, and he's trying to make these changes in his life. And really, it sounds funny, but it's ever since yoga school, when I went to yoga school in the beginning, I just was like, I'm going to give this 110%. We were doing yoga like almost every day, sometimes twice a day. I mean, it was a lot of yoga. I was in really great shape too. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so fit. I'm so strong. I feel so great. I had so much energy. I was helping people. I was starting to teach, starting to figure out what direction I wanted to go with it all. And I think just saying yes to opportunities, and even opportunities like this, I would never have done. I would never have done it. But I just feel like if I just say yes, and I just show up, and I just give it my all, and I just be myself, it's
like
going to be fine. And so that's these last 5 years. We just had our anniversary of being here for 5 years, and it's, I love it here. Tennessee is the best. It really is my favorite place so far. Oh, cool. It really is. I love it so much. And the people are just so nice here. It's just such a nice melting pot of Southern, but you're still close to everything, and just the opportunities that are here, and different walks of life. It's just been really nice.
It's like growing and expanding, and there's a lot of people moving from different places.
A lot of change happening, but in good ways, maybe some bad. But I think if you're just positive about it, and you always put a positive spin on things and not think about the negative, don't let the negative affect you, and just keep moving forward in a positive way. A lot of good can come from it. The next time you're like parked on the interstate because the infrastructure isn't maybe ready for all the people. You just take a big breath in.
If we can just focus on this just means there's more diverse people coming from different places that I'm going to have a chance to connect with.
And we are not all the same, but that's okay. That's what makes us different. It makes us unique. It makes us each an individual. But we all have strengths. We all have, flaws, but we're all connected at the end of the day. And that's truly, I think that yoga is a way to really represent that, because it's uniting everyone in this way of, we just want to be healthy. We just want to move our bodies. We want to find a way that we can just stay active and find some happiness in our everyday lives, for sure.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, I have a few closer questions. Okay. Right. These are some questions I like to ask each guest. So the first one is, do you have a quote or mantra you live by, and what is it?
It's thoughts become things, so choose good thoughts. Or
say that one more time.
Thoughts become things, so choose good ones. Or thoughts become things, so choose good thoughts.
Okay, thoughts become things, so choose good thoughts. All right. Do you have that written anywhere, or is it just memorized? No tattoos of it?
No.
Okay. One of our guests had a tattoo of her mantra, so that's
I don't. I've been wanting to get some little, I know everybody is doing those little cutie, little, yoga tattoos, but I just haven't done it yet. Yeah, it is. Because there's a few that I want, and I'm like, which ones do I want more? But yeah, thoughts, I am a true believer in that. I think your thoughts rule your life. You're the only person thinking them too. So it's like some of us, I don't know, like if you're like me, but I get definitely caught up in my own, and I can be my own worst enemy. We all can. And
saboteur.
Yes, and just thinking things that haven't even been said yet. So thoughts become things. So you have to choose good ones. And if you are only thinking negative thoughts, you're going to find yourself in this negative place, So I think really thinking those negative thoughts, if you've still got them, I know I still do. I mean, none of us are perfect, but if I have one, I let it kind of act like a cloud in one ear and out the other. That's kind of how I let it just float in and I let it float out. And I try not to sit and ponder on it, because if you do and you let yourself get to that spot where it's so deep down and it really gets to your inner workings, it really can affect you, and it really can throw some kinks in the chain of your life, and in a very, very bad negative way. And I mean, I've had down times, that I've had to kind of find my way out, but I think just the process of thinking it still, that it's fine to think it, but letting it go, because I know it's not true.
It's like dwelling on it or ruminating on it is.
And then it creates disease, and it creates more negative cycles, meeting the wrong people, finding yourselves in these wrong places at the wrong time, and wondering, why do I keep ending up here? And it's because you're not letting it go, and it doesn't have to be your reality, it really doesn't. So I think choosing the thoughts that become the reality has been the thing that I still am working on, but it's a
Wayne
process.
Dyer's work?
Yeah, I love Wayne Dyer, and I also really like. What is that woman's name? Shoot. Oh, Louise Hay. Louise Hay. I love Louise Hay. So my grandmother, the one who owned the health food store, she introduced my mom. My mom introduced me to Louise Hay. There's a book called Healing Yourself. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's
I have 2 copies of it.
My mom has read her so many times it's in pieces. Like, it has to be brought back together. It's like, here, you take the top half, I'll take the bottom half. I love it. But it is, I think, going back to the disease. It's like, if you ever have an ailment of any kind in your body, usually it's gonna come from somewhere, some kind of thought, some kind of inner working, some kind of scenario that has happened.
Like the energy getting stuck or whatever. Have you heard, I think it's in that book, her story about at 50, getting cancer at 50.
But didn't she heal herself?
Yeah, but beginning to work through like what was kind of creating that energy. Her and
what where were you at that time? What were you thinking? What was your mind doing to you at the time? Because your mind is such a powerful thing, and we forget how powerful it really is and can be. It's our most useful tool at the end of the day. It really is.
Well, Louise Hay could be a good role model in terms of wanting to be active and vibrant.
Yes.
Because she didn't really even start her writing career until she was 50.
Yeah.
And she died at 91. And I had no idea when she died what her age was.
But I mean, just her wisdom is about all things. Yeah. She was really aware of a lot of things and able to say it in a way that really made a connection, a deep connection to people. But I love her. I love him. I love Wayne Dyer too. I
was like, I kind of think she's gonna say Louise Hay, but I'll let her.
I love her. I love her so much.
What she's about to say.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, so I don't know. This is maybe backpedaling, but I had scoliosis
Oh, okay.
When I was probably preteen.
Wow.
I think they noticed it when I was like 10 or 11, you know, at one of those little doctor's appointments. They're like, you've got scoliosis. And funny enough, I think that was around the time when my dad was being really hard on me, you know. And in the end, I ended up having to have 2 surgeries. So I have 2 titanium rods fused to my spine. So I've got a S-curve for my scoliosis, and so they had to take the 2 rods and fuse them, and then they brought the spine kind of back in. So they're actually screwed in, and they'll stay there forever. They're titanium rods, but so that's also something that I've really had to kind of work through, is that I don't have the flexibility, the mobility in my back that I once did when I was doing gymnastics, you know, be able to flip and do all these crazy things. I can't do that anymore, obviously.
Did you do gymnastics after the surgeries?
No, but I was doing springboard diving still, off a springboard, you know, jumping and twirling, but I would land on my head into the swimming pool, you know, which was, water aerobics is also a great thing. But so I don't know. I think in Louise Hay's book, the cause of the upper back, or maybe it was scoliosis, I can't remember exactly, but it was I think it was like pressures from a parent or something like that. It was kind of eerily similar.
Pushing you down.
Yeah, it was my dad just kind of constantly just pushing that onto me, and I think it just made me feel little, you know, and I wasn't able to stand tall and be my own person at that time and speak my truth.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, it's just a few of these connections, you know, they're just kind of interworkings that it's interesting how it all kind of plays out with these people in our lives that kind of come in, kind of come out, or our family, you know, and dealing with, you know, how we conduct ourselves and our relationships together. And but you definitely can't let it affect you to the point where it's diseasing or harming you, you know.
Causing that
imbalance. So if you feel something's like that, I mean, you definitely have to do what's good for you.
Reach out.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, you have to do the work for yourself, for sure.
Yeah.
And you can still have that relationship, but I'm not going to take on that anymore, that energy, you know, to myself. I'm going to just say, that's fine. You do you. That's for another time.
How you heal that. From your father wounds.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We don't need to talk about that.
No, we don't. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but I just am, as we're sitting here, I'm like, it really is a connection thing. I mean, it's just part of it, but that's something I think that has only made me stronger, and it's only made me a better parent to my child. It's only made me a better friend or a better listener to my friend groups and things like that.
You have you got your straight back.
And yoga has helped me so much just to stay, again, mobile and active, and I can still do some things, but I still can do it in a way that is good for me without a coach saying you have to do this and hurt yourself, you know. But I do what I can, and I'm still able to do things and still push my own self, but to a point that I know that it's comfortable and it won't break me.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, what other books or resources or teachers do you want to share with our audience?
Let's see.
I mean, you've already thrown out a couple of documentaries.
Yeah, documentaries for sure. I love documentaries. I actually have an app. It's called Gaia.
Gaia. Okay, cool.
Gaia. It's all things Earth. Everything. I mean, our history, a bunch of science things, astronomy.
Oh, wow, cool.
It's got psychic healings. It's got talking about stones and chakras and all sorts of different things. I mean, it's just kind of an all-in-one, but it's an app, and they've just got short little things, or they've got actual movies or documentaries of their own.
Oh, wow.
Someone had told me about it when I first moved here, and I think I just do a yearly subscription to it.
Okay.
But I watch it when I'm on the treadmill a lot. I'll watch little snippets of this or that or whatever episode, but some are just like this. It's a podcast about whatever. But But I would say it's more kind of in that spiritual realm or thinking outside the box. Maybe it's not so the norm of society. It's definitely a little out there, but
cool.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, we love Gaia, so
yeah,
we gotta love our Earth.
Yes. So. Yeah.
Okay, here's another question, a closing question.
Okay.
What parting words or encouragement do you have for our listeners?
I think everything in moderation.
Okay.
moderation.
Yeah.
And I think showing love to yourself. I think loving yourself and allowing yourself to make mistakes and to work through things, but at the same time sticking through to the end to work through it, to allow the process to happen, because that's when you learn the most. If you just jumped right to the end, the finish line, and skipped all the work, there'd be a lot of life lessons that you wouldn't necessarily have had, or people that you wouldn't have come in contact with that maybe are now your new best friend, I don't know. But I think that, and I think just being kind to yourself, and just showing up is the hardest part, whatever it might be, work, life, love, showing up and just being who you truly are, who you were born on this planet to be, without other things changing you, and just sticking through to the end. Even if you're the only one, I think you'll find your people, your tribe, I think is what they call it, You'll find your tribe. It takes time, and you'll get down, but I think just knowing that you're not the only one, you're not alone. But, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Aww. Okay, so where can our listeners find you?
Small World Yoga. Okay. Small World Yoga. You can bring your children to Nashville Gymnastics Training Center. Okay. It's over here off Briley Parkway, over by the John C. Toon Airport. I have a website. It's called yogawithkaylee.org.
Yay.
And you can find me on social media. I think it's under Activities with Kaylee or Adventures with Kaylee.
Adventures. Oh
yeah.
My.
Yeah.
You really could do like an adventures group for women.
Yeah. I would really like that. I think just empowering, women, just supporting other women without being jealous or hateful or, catty to one another. Yeah, it's like we've all got ideas. There's enough out there for everyone, and you'll find your own little vibe, your own little group that you click in with. But it's hard because it's so competitive, I think, and then attitudes and things come out that maybe you're like, that scare you, But women definitely need to show the love to other women, and I think just supporting one another, because we're all at the end of the day dealing with some of the same things, and we just look at them differently through different eyes. Yeah. But we need to just have love for one another and empathy for sure.
And that is not always in abundant supply among human beings.
Yeah. Empathy. Outside things can definitely take a toll and get us in a bad mood where we're not thinking of others anymore.
Yeah. One of our dream touchstones that we sort of set the circle with is when things get difficult, turn to wonder. Like, I wonder what's going on for that person that they're being so hateful right now.
Yeah.
Or, I wonder what's going on.
And most likely it's something
they're
going through that they don't feel comfortable enough to clue you in on for whatever reason. And that's okay, maybe you're just not that person for them to comment with that information, and that's okay. But I think stopping and knowing that a lot of people, you got to take yourself out of it and know that everyone's going through something, everyone's got stuff going on and we don't see.
Right.
But we still need to have love and kindness for one another, for sure.
The great book about that is Oprah's recent book with the doctor. I'm not remembering his name, but it's called What Happened to You. And it's less like, why are you like this, and it's more like, what happened to you? Like, what's the story behind
why are you
behaving? You're now like,
so true.
I wonder what happened.
I love to really dive in and like hear about all of that, you know.
Yeah.
It's very interesting,
Yeah.
the psychology of
Yeah.
how it makes us who we are, you know,
Yeah.
the baggage, the things that we bring, maybe that our parents had or the parents before them, you know. It's a
Cyclical,
cycle,
right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But breaking the cycle, I think, and doing the work and doing the yoga and doing the mindfulness and being outside in the nature and just walking,
Connecting,
you know, everything
yeah.
in moderation.
Everything in moderation.
But it helps us through the process for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
You're
much
so
for
welcome.
being with us
Thank
today.
you for
This is
having me.
awesome.
Thank
so
you for
glad
having
to
me.
have you here.
It was really fun. Yeah.
Yay.
You see, you broke me out of my.
And,
I was thinking, oh, I don't know.
She didn't think she'd be able to do this. Look, no problem, right?
Yeah.
So, well, this is releasing. The plan is for May 22nd, which is a day for yoga. So come out and enjoy. Are you teaching that day? Or are you teaching this week?
I'm teaching this week.
Okay.
On Wednesday.
Well, come
Everyone
out and
is
join
welcome.
us, 1
Everybody is
o'clock on
welcome.
Wednesday, every Wednesday, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you all so much. Where again can they find you on your website?
Yogawithkaylee.org.
Got it?
Or on Instagram at Activities with Kaylee.
All right. Awesome. Thanks all. We'll see you next time for Conversations for Peace.
Thank you.